Gold. Stop. It's all. Sorry about the trigger warning with Vosh. Forgot to mention that. Okay. A month ago? I mean, what is happening to Asmongold? We're going to get into that later with our Gamergate topic, segment, section, whatever I want to call it. Whatever you want to call it. I'm going to watch it now because he's so weird. Open that up there. Fine. Let's do this back in. Close down. Don't like that one. What the F? Oh. Chapel Roan. Everybody, Chapel Roan has decided to cancel some upcoming shows due to the discourse surrounding her recent comments on the fact that she's going to vote for Kamala Harris, but she does not endorse Kamala Harris, which I don't understand why so many people, particularly those who are fans of hers, are so, mad about that, because I thought this was exactly the same thing that she's been saying the whole time since she's been in the spotlight, if not earlier, which is that, the parties, especially our two-party system, especially at the federal level, the Democrats and Republicans don't really care about the common, average, everyday citizen unless it's to get them to, vote, to get them to come out and vote for them, which is, which I would say doesn't really care if you're not concerned about other parts of the years, but I don't think it's that controversial of a thing, even for a celebrity like Chapel Roan, who is clearly on the left, further left than Kamala Harris, to say things like she doesn't support the things that Kamala Harris in the current administration, the Biden administration, and also what she would probably carry on in her administration, as well as, Trump before, whatever, that not allowing trans individuals to have representation and make decisions about trans rights and lives, like, that needs to change, which I agree with. I think you need to have the voices and representation of the people who are being directly affected by whatever legislation or laws are in the conversations, as well as the decision-making process for those laws, because that's just what makes sense. Just what makes sense. She's also been very open about the fact that you need to vote, like, in most cases, for most American individuals, the outcome of the president, doesn't necessarily affect their lives as much as your local and state level legislation, which is what she has been open and honest about as well, which is to vote Democrat, vote left, even though that they still are slightly not really that much better than the Republican Party. They are the lesser of two evil choices, and it's the only choice that you really have. But the further down ballot you go, more towards your local election, if you are an active individual within your community, within your political community, you should have a good idea of who people are, what their positions are, and you should know that those votes or those policies at the state and local level are probably going to be much more prominent towards those individuals than the promises and well wishes of Kamala Harris and the Democrats up at the federal level. So I don't understand why so many people are being that upset about it. I mean, I understand why. It's because they're afraid and they don't want to go back to Trump presidency. But I mean, I think this is just being as realistic as possible. And it's not getting people excited to go out and vote. But I think it's better to be realistic with people and to say, hey, these two people suck at the very tippy top. Voting for them isn't going to really change anything dramatically for any of you in the near future. But you should probably still vote. Actually, not, you should still vote because it's the only thing you can do. As I think I don't know it might have been Hassan who said it first. I don't know. Probably not Hassan. Some other people said it. But it is the least and most significant thing you can do is, as an American citizen, is to vote. I think for the fact that I also respect Chappell Roan for doing this because she, as I've said before, she is trying to keep a healthy barrier between Chappell Roan and the celebrity and Chappell Roan, the individual fan. Capital Lima, cheap viewers on whatever. No, ban. So let's read this article. Chappell Roan, the Good Luck Babe singer whose career has exploded in recent months, announced Friday that she's canceling 2 of her upcoming shows amid recent backlash to some of her political statements. Roan will not appear at the All Things Go festival in New York City and outside Washington, D.C. this weekend. She notified fans on social media. Things have gotten overwhelming over the past few weeks, and I'm really feeling it, Roan wrote. I feel pressures to prioritize a lot of things right now, and I need a few days to prioritize my health. I want to be present when I perform and give the best shows possible. Thank you for understanding. And I think that's a very respectable thing because people forget that, yes, even though she's an artist, singer, songwriter, performer, all of these things, that I'm sure she loves doing and is very, very grateful and, loves the fact that she can do this for a living and to support herself and whoever else that she wants to support in her life with this. But this is her job. It's still her job. It's her passion, but performing and doing all of this, like going on tour and all this stuff, that's her job. And much like anybody else within, the working class or a laborer, and even though people are saying like, oh, you're rich now, you're rich, you're not one of us anymore. I don't know much about her deals and her stuff in the background or, managers, management, whatever it may be, but she still is a laborer. She is still putting out labor in order to make a living. It's not like it's not like she 100% owns all of the means to create a production like this herself. But luckily, she has, kept such enough separation between her and deals and brands or whatever it may be. I don't know why that ad was there. It's just a weird ad. But, if people need to take a sick day or a day off from work, I respect that, regardless of their position, unless you are a manager and CEO, because that is not a real job. I have so many issues with the government in every way, Roan told the paper. There are so many things that I would want to change, so I don't feel pressure to endorse someone. There's problems on both sides. I encourage people to use your critical thinking skills, use your vote small, vote for what's going on in your city, which is a reasonable response to say. Some fans and critics argue that Roan was suggesting a false equivalency between Democrats and Republicans, noting that the latter's party platform includes aggressive opposition to transgender rights and abortion protections, as well as conservative stances on other major issues that affects Roan's base of young progressive fans. Others raised concern that Roan seemed to be suggesting people sit out of the election between Harris and former President Donald Trump, a race baiting demagogue who tried to overturn the 2020 elections and has been found liable for sexual abuse. Which is, all right. Yeah, we already know that. It just seems like you're trying to make it seem like a little more pressure. But Chappell Roan's on the wrong side here. Huffington Post, kind of weird. Roan addressed the backlash in a TikTok video saying she has problems with Harris but still plans to vote for her. Obviously, fuck the policies of the right, but also fuck some of the policies on the left. Roan said Wednesday, saying she couldn't stand behind what she called the left's transphobic and completely genocidal views, an apparent reference to America's support of Israel in the war in Gaza. I don't think it's an apparent. I think it is a direct reference to America's support of Israel in the genocide in Gaza. It's unclear what issues she has with Democrats' transgender policies, which are in line with what LGBTQ plus people are seeking in this election. Rowan also upset fans when she canceled shows in Europe earlier this month with only a few days' notice, citing unspecified scheduling conflicts. Many speculate that she canceled so that she could attend rehearsals. Europe are... Oh, whatever. It is unclear what issues she has with the Democrats' transgender policies, which generally align with what the LGBTQ plus groups are seeking this election. Well, you know what? How about we just take a gander? We're gonna do let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a list of things. So, just a quick search on what. Let's go back down here to the line here. It's unclear what issues she has with Democrats' transgender policies, which generally align with what LGBTQ plus groups are seeking in this election. Well, if I had to take a guess as a non-trans, as a cis white man, if I had to take it with access to the internet, if I had to take a guess, just over the last 4 years, I would have. I have a guess that perhaps let's just go down this little quick list here. Point number 1, thanks to this quick search, restoring transgender protections in schools. On his first day in office in 2021, President Biden issued an executive order mandating federal agencies to prevent and combat discrimination based on gender identity or sexual orientation. This order specifically reinstates Obama-era protections for transgender students in schools, ensuring their rights to use facilities that align with their gender identity. From Rolling Stone. Damn you, Rolling Stone. Weeks ago. Tor? Interesting. Maybe. Perfect. Where'd that Tor one go? Fine. Okay. This was from September 15th. Florida was their home. Anti-trans laws led them to flee. As red states pass laws limiting gender-affirming care and abortions, families are moving. One expert calls it an uncountable diaspora. In early March of last year, Casey was nearly done with her opening shift at a McDonald's in DeLand, Florida, when she saw an alert pop up on her screen. It was a text from a friend with reports of a new proposed state law, an early draft of what would become Senate Bill 254. The bill aimed, among other restrictions, to further restrict access to gender-affirming care. As Casey read, a wave of panic took hold. This was the news she had feared most. I'm going to turn my fan off real quick. Sorry. After work, Casey's head swirled. She first considered how she'd tell her transgender wife, Jamie, that their family of four would soon have to pack up their lives and leave the only place they'd ever called home. Then she checked her bank account. She had about $3,000 saved. It wasn't much, but Casey figured it was enough cash to quickly get her family across Florida state lines necessary. Over the next 2 months, Casey put her plan in place. She took on extra hours at work and listed their house in the market. The couple sold what they could, a camper, 2 canoes. When they learned the bill had been approved on Thursday, May 4th, Casey didn't hesitate. I figured Governor DeSantis would sign by 5 p.m. on Friday, so my goal was to be on the road by then. She recalls, we had about 24 hours. While Americans today don't typically uproot to protect their personal freedoms, taxes, sure, a wave of laws restricting interventions for transgender youths and limiting access to health care for adults has driven more people across the country to seek shelter in states with LGBTQ plus friendly policies. A recent KFF Washington Post survey, for example, shows that 1 in 4 transgender adults have relocated for a more accepting environment. Calling this a new class of refugees is not overly dramatic, says Abby Goldberg, the director of Women's and Gender Studies at Clark University, who has spent years surveying American LGBTQ families. We know people's sense of safety, value, and basic citizenship are profoundly impacted by legislative change. It feels like an explicit relegation to second-class citizenship, probably because it is. I've heard this phenomena referred to as an uncountable diaspora, says Kelly Cassidy, an Illinois state representative and vocal advocate for both abortion access and transgender rights. In the past several years, Representative Cassidy helped push through the Reproductive Care Act, which ensured the right to have an abortion in Illinois and protect providers and patients coming from out of state. She has also stood behind a conversion therapy ban, expanded coverage for transgender medical care, and proposed a tax credit for those fleeing more restrictive states for Illinois. The impact is so broad, she says, it's impossible to really count and quantify. It's a little overwhelming to contemplate. Isn't that... Think about that. We have, not only states who are obviously, they're creating laws to help not only their constituents within their states, but, constituents from other states who are literally fearing for their lives to flee, so much so that they are proposing a tax credit for people who are leaving places like Florida. If you are fleeing, that's where we're at right now, is that other states who have, non-demonic beings running as, running the government of the states as governors or whatever, they're literally like, we will do whatever we can to help you, including giving you money back at tax season. It's insane. That's an awesome thing. That's awesome that they proposed a tax credit for people who flee restrictive states for Illinois, but it's insane that we have to get to that point in the first place. I forgot to run a top of the hour ad break. I'm sorry. I gotta keep those B-rolls off. I'll run that again at the hour. Migration trend reflects a deepening division in America. According to the ACLU, some 530 anti-LGBTQ... 530? Jesus fucking balls, dude. Have been proposed across the country. 18 states have also passed near total bans on abortion. It is a very scary time to be in America, says Allison Draith, director of strategic partnerships at the Abortion Fund Midwest Access Coalition. I fear the direction of this country and the freedom we are taking for granted. The stakes in November really couldn't be higher. But while some lawmakers are determined to restrict Americans' access to medical care, those in Illinois, Minnesota, Maryland, among others, have declared their states health care safe havens. This splintering has become a prominent talking point in the presidential race. At her rallies, Vice President Kamala Harris has pledged to strengthen federal protections for LGBTQ families through legislation like the Equality Act. Oh, that was on here too. Equality Act advocacy. This was point number 2 on my little quick search. Democrats have continuously pushed for the Equality Act, which seeks to expand federal civil rights laws to include explicit protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity in employment, housing, education, and public accommodations. Although it passed the Democrat-led House of Representatives in 2021, the act has yet to pass the Senate, where it faces opposition. Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe the reason Huffington Post falls. Wait, where'd it go? Ah, maybe Huffington Post. It's unclear what issues she has with the Democrats' transgender policies. Well, I think the problem might possibly be the fact that one, the executive order that Biden signed back in 2021 hasn't prevented sociopaths and monsters from trying to propose over 500 freaking anti-trans laws. Maybe we should focus on that. Also, the only other like real right that was actually, fixed is, well, at least at the start here, is military service. Reversing the Trump era ban on transgender individuals serving in the U.S. military through an executive order back in January of 2021 allows transgender individuals to enlist and serve openly in the armed forces once again. So, trans people, trans folk out there, you can go die for this country. You just can't have all the rights. That's awesome. Because again, Equality Act advocacy. Democrats have continuously pushed for the Equality Act. But we had control of the Senate, or back in 2021, 2023. By a lot. We barely have. Oh, no, we don't even have control of it. The Republicans do, unless we have, some kind of connection with these independents, which I don't doubt. But, it's the fact that there have been multiple times, right, when it comes to the Senate specifically, that, well, there's been multiple times when the Democrats have controlled, all three parts of Congress. Well, not all three parts. Where they control the presidency, the Senate, and the House, but they did nothing with that. Nothing really. And where was Obama? Yeah, see back here, Obama. They controlled it barely. Fuck you, Lieberman. They really had it here, And they even had it here. And we even had it here. We lost it a little bit here, you know, Trump and stuff, but like, there's been plenty of times the Democratic Party has had enough power to push through the changes that a lot of people on the left, but specifically in this case, the LGBTQ plus community, would like to see passed. But they don't. They just say, we'll do it, and they use it as a, you know, a carrot on a stick for the next election or the next primary or whatever it may be. Maybe that's why people who fall under the LGBTQ plus community flag are not very trustworthy or trusting of the Democratic Party from doing the things that they say that they would do. Or, as the Huffington Post puts it, transgender policies which generally align with the LGBTQ plus groups are seeking this election. You know, I could go on, but just like most of the stuff that they've done is either just very bare minimum, like reversal of previous executive orders that, you know, don't really do much. Again, except for let trans people go die for this country and American imperialism, but it doesn't let them have, you know, equal rights in the workplace across all 50 states. Doesn't allow rights with marriage or, I mean, I guess marriage. See how long that lasts, thanks to the Supreme Court. Hopefully that doesn't get wrecked either. But workplace rights, insurance rights, healthcare protections, all that stuff. A lot of stuff that y'all been saying, like, okay, we do, but it's just like not enough. Especially when, you know, here it is. These laws and issues continue to, you know, continue. The splintering, okay, we're going back to the article. The splintering has become a prominent talking point in the presidential race. The splintering has become a prominent talking point in the presidential race. At her rallies, Vice President Kamala Harris pledged to strengthen federal protections for LGBTQ families through legislation like the Equality Act and anti-discrimination bill. But even if elected, it would be hard for Harris to pass such a bill, and in the absence of a federal policy to regulate transgender care, the country would remain a patchwork of differing state laws even under a Harris administration. Former President Donald Trump, by contrast, has signaled his intent to roll back both abortion and transgender protections. Some Trump allies push for more extreme changes, most notably Project 2025. I covered on another video earlier, or last week, a conservative agenda outlined by Heritage Foundation that seeks to eliminate nearly every LGBTQ protection. It goes so far to suggest that educators who support transgender identities should be registered as sex offenders. Regardless of what happens in this election, there will continue to be socio-political strife when it comes to LGBTQ rights, adds Goldberg. It's not over. To understand the stakes for families like Casey and Jamie's, whose last names Rolling Stones agreed to withhold to protect their privacy, only one has to look at Ron DeSantis' Florida. Since taking office, Ron DeSantis has signed a suite of bills into laws that ban transgender girls and women from participating in public sports and prevent trans individuals from using bathrooms that align with their gender identity, plus a 6-week abortion ban that went into effect earlier this year. DeSantis also championed the controversial Parental Rights in Education law, better known as the Don't Say Gay law, which prohibits discussions about sexual orientation and gender identity in classrooms through the 3rd grade. Yeah, the Democrats have been doing a great job at protecting and preventing and keeping legislation across the country in line with what transgender people, want. Doing a bang up job there, y'all. But Casey and Jamie first noticed a shift in their neighborhood even before any new laws were passed. The changes began shortly after Trump was elected in 2016. There were more Confederate flags, and cars drove by with giant banners featuring Trump's head superimposed on the oiled, muscular body of a machine gun-toting Rambo. I remember those. At work, Casey noticed coworkers had decorated their cars with bumper stickers advertising a local group known for a white supremacist leanings. The hostility hit closer to home when Jamie came out in 2020. The neighbor across the street responded by telling us that we were going to hell, recalls Casey. Others on the block told their children they could no longer play with Casey and Jamie's kids, Marie and Angelo. One neighbor, a former mechanic in the sheriff's department who wore a small gold necklace in the shape of a noose. What? One neighbor, a former mechanic in the sheriff's department who wore a small gold necklace in the shape of a noose, regularly lingered by their yard boasting about his connections to officers who would happily seek out justice in a extra legal way. People were showing their true colors, says Jamie. I thought if this was the way all of y'all felt all along, it's not a safe place to be. No, it is not. That is insane. That is fucking insane. Then in March 2023, Florida Senate Bill 254 began to take shape. The bill formally established a wide range of restrictions on trans healthcare that DeSantis first introduced in 2022. Among them, it outlawed hormone therapies and surgical procedures for transgender youth and prevented Florida Medicaid, in which Jamie was enrolled, from paying for those same services for transgender adults. The bill also required transgender adults to seek care to obtain consent from a medical provider. They were saying that if you were going to get informed consent and continue to receive care after the bill passed, you would be on a list, recalls Casey. That was terrifying. That is terrifying. The restrictions would impact Jamie's medical care, but for both Casey and Jamie, whose younger child Angela identifies as non-binary, their biggest fears lay in the new legal language around child welfare, which grants the court's temporary emergency jurisdiction over a child present in the state if the child has been subjected to or is threatened with being subjected to sex reassignment prescriptions or procedures. Yeah, Democrats have been doing a bang-up job. Though the wording was somewhat ambiguous, every possible interpretation left Casey alarmed. Given the political climate, Casey decided the safest bet would be landing in a state with sanctuary laws or a place that protects anyone seeking access to care. The other narrowing factor was affordability. California and Colorado, for example, enticed Casey and Jamie, but the cost of living removed both states from their list. In the end, they chose Illinois, specifically Carbondale, a college town of around 20,000 people that sits on the very southern edge of the state. By the time Casey and Jamie and their kids reached southern Illinois, after a day of driving with their 7 animals, they were exhausted. When there was a large pride flag hanging over the front door. It brought tears to my eyes because I just felt safe, says Jamie, who later learned the flag was a gift from their new neighbors. News of Casey and Jamie's arrival had spread after Jamie reached out to a local LGBTQ community center. Oh. The first night in Carbondale, Casey and Jamie piled a set of travel mattresses on the floor. They ordered Chinese food and ate dinner on empty milk crates. The next morning, they crafted a plan for a new beginning. Standing barefoot in her Carbondale kitchen, Casey, 32, gently places a round of 10 battered chicken chunks into a shallow pan bubbling with hot oil. Tonight, she's making sweet and sour chicken, the dish, Jamie says, that first cast a love spell over her. As Casey toggles between a pot of white rice, boiling broccoli, and a frying pan, she gracefully maneuvers around the 4 dogs crowding her feet. Outside, the temperature hovers around 95 degrees, and both Casey and Jamie revel in the wet humidity. The heat reminds. I've always loved it when you step outside, you feel like you've opened up an oven door, reminisces Casey. When you're hit by a wave of heat and the sunlight so bright that you're blinded temporarily, the thoughts unravel into a longer reflection. I love how sand is everywhere in Florida, on your floors and in your car. Casey, who kept her hair buzzed short, dons a fitted tank top that reveals her 12 tattoos. Her newest ink represents a Floridian palm tree. I tend to get a tattoo when something is wrapped up, says Casey. Those palm trees are everywhere in Florida. They make a certain noise when they rustle, when the wind goes through. Looking at a palm tree, I can feel like I'm back in that place. And if you want to be in a better place like Jamie and Casey, then you should sub, because much like some other channels I very much enjoy, I want to keep the ads on this channel as low as possible. So I'm going to be running 3-minute ads at the top of every hour in order to prevent B-roll and pre-rolls, because that sucks when people come in and they're hit with 3 minutes pre-roll. So Here is a 3-minute ad break now. I'm just going to wait a minute. I'm going to wait until the ads are over. And I'm also, this is making me sad. Hi, bud. What are you doing? Look at this little nerd. This little. Come on, you stuck? You want behind me? He likes to be. I think he likes pressure. I think he likes to. Wait, are you? Skip, what are you doing, buddy? Bud, what are you? 30 more seconds till ads are over. All right. Now that ads are over, get back to the article. I remember we spent the first night here, and I said, "What's wrong with the trees?" chuckled Jamie, 38, who's never been north of North Carolina. If Jamie and Casey could afford to live among the Palms in Orlando or Miami, they would have considered either city. The median home price in Orlando hovers around $300,000, and in Miami it's closer to $500,000. Version 2 reaching upwards of $2,000 for a 2-bedroom home in either city. But even if they could somehow pull together the money, says Casey, the broader rightward shift in Florida made life in their home state feel untenable. It's like a sense of nostalgia, says Casey, reflecting on the Florida she knew as a girl. It's almost this sense that home doesn't exist anymore because it will never be what it was. Moments later, Angelo, 12, the younger of the two siblings, bounds into the room. They are taking a break from one of their many Minecraft games. Angelo props himself against a small 3-drawer cabinet that rests against the wall. The cabinet remains the only furniture they brought from Florida. When we first moved into our own place, my grandma went with me to get some things, says Casey, eyeing the cabinet. She lived on a fixed income and had almost nothing to spare, but she took me anyway. I saw a cabinet and thought it looked kind of rustic. It cost $3, and when my grandma looked at it, she said, "This is ugly as sin." Case laughs at memory. I had to bring it. Nearly everything in the family's Carbondale home is new. Most was found by the road or bought at the dollar store or Walmart. No one has accumulated more stuff, however, than 13-year-old Marie. Marie sits upstairs on her canopy bed surrounded by collaged images of Chapel Roan and Lana Del Rey, and a swarm of dolls she's collected in recent months. On this particular evening, Marie hosts two new friends who she met through Rainbow Cafe, Carbondale's LGBTQ community center. At one point, the conversation naturally drifts to a timeless, quintessential teen topic. Carbondale's crap, says one friend. I can't wait to get out of here. We're the only blue area that accepts LGBTQ people in this whole entire state, retorts the other. Just take what you have. We are the best of Southern Illinois. Carbondale, a liberal college town amidst miles of conservative farmland, is not easily defined. From the road, anti-choice billboards invoking the Bible hover over highways, while in town the pungent smell of marijuana lingers in the air. Representative Mike Bost, a vocal ally of Trump, represents the city, as does Claire Kilman, the first trans person elected to a city council in Illinois. On Sundays, a small group of residents gather to protest the war in Gaza, while khakied worshippers file into pews at some 50 churches in the area. Over the past few years, Carbondale, like other Blue Islands, have become a temporary destination for those seeking abortions. The city is the closest place to get a procedure for more than 1.2 million women, and a more permanent home for queer people who need access to care. Several clinics, Alamo Clinic, Choices, and Planned Parenthood have opened since 2022, two of which also provide trans health care services. We have become the hotspot, says Carrie Vine, the executive director at Rainbow Cafe. Carbondale is more accessible for people coming from places like Texas, Florida, or Tennessee. The weather's more temperate too, adds Vine, and the city's rural setting keeps it affordable, especially compared to Chicago, where the cost of living is nearly 3 times higher. The state's protections only go so far. The Supreme Court is currently considering a case that could result in a federal ruling on transgender health care. It's scary being a gender-affirming surgeon and waking up wondering if your job is still legal, says Simonis Jordan, a plastic surgeon and director of the Gender Pathways Program at Northwestern Medicine. It's unnerving to see policymakers wanting to legislate medical decisions. If the court accepts the case, a decision is expected by June. When was this written? 2 weeks ago, right? Yeah, September 15th. Sorry, this article is making me feel some kind of ways. These days, Vine estimates she works to help as many as 10 to 15 individuals and families resell in Carbondale at a time. The demand, she says, shows no sign of slowing. I just hope we remain relatively safe and secure here in Carbondale. It's just past 9 a.m. when Casey, Jamie, and their kids emerge from Union Station, Chicago's central train hub. The four have traveled the 6 hours from Carbondale to Chicago for the city's June Pride Parade, their first big parade celebration since leaving Florida. Casey, hunched beneath an overstuffed backpack crammed with snacks, towels, and water bottles, takes in the colorful scene. Beyonce and Elton John anthems blast from giant speakers, and young men dressed as forest fairies commune with women wearing shirts that read, "Move, I'm gay." The events bring a welcome dose of joy, but Casey and Jamie are in Chicago for another reason too. It's been more than a year since they've seen the ocean. While SB 254 was blocked by a federal judge in early summer, the couple don't plan to return to Florida. I followed along with what has happened in Texas and Tennessee, says Casey. I feel like Florida's gone far enough in that direction that it'll take a long time before it swings back again. Over the next 2 hours, Casey towards a beach that sits a little more than a mile from the parade route. Around 4 p.m., Lake Michigan finally comes into view. Jamie stops just short of the water. The smell isn't right, no salt, but the sound, she says, taking in the steady surf, I missed it so much. Standing here, I just think about the hatred that made me leave my home. I lived here for 37 years. It's all I've known. Jamie pauses, overcome. Being at the water again, it's priceless. Casey walks over to her wife and wraps her arms around Jamie's waist. Behind them, Angela buries themselves in the sand, and Marie chases flocks of seagulls. After a few minutes, Casey reaches for her phone and records the sound of the choppy waves. She then combs through her backpack and pulls out 2 empty Dippin' Dots containers, which she fills with scoops of dry sand. Later, once they're all back in Carbondale, Casey transfers the sand into a mason jar and places it on a display shelf lined with keepsakes, an imperfect reminder of all they left behind. Sorry, I just... Yeah, now, the reason I'm getting a little choked up and teary-eyed about that is because although I'm not trans and neither is my wife, the story of having to move or relocate, or the fear of relocating and adjusting because of, life changes, does hit, kind of close because over the last few years, my wife and I have had to make a lot of pivots and moves and flexes and changes in order to maintain health insurance so that my wife, who has several chronic illnesses that require very, very expensive drugs, we've had to make a lot of pivots and jumps, and I've had to make a lot of pivots and jumps with jobs, which, unfortunately, not all of them worked out, as I've, recently mentioned. And it just really sucks seeing that this problem of not just, obviously discrimination and hate, but the fact that this is just continuing to making this issue increasingly more difficult for not just trans people, but, women in general as well, from getting the medical care they need. And that also extended to my wife as well, because she has endometriosis, and a lot of the medications or treatments that possibly could, have helped are unattainable in this red state of Ohio. And it just be very sad and upset to continually see stories about people having to flee their homes because of just the shitty demons in charge of those states, but because of the shitty almost demons on the other side of the aisle who could help stop this stuff from happening, but they don't. So yeah, if you're wondering, Huffington Post, why maybe Chapel Roan and other people under that umbrella of LGBTQ plus, or just in general, people who are leftists in general who have friends and family who are gay, trans, whatever it may be, or have chronic illnesses, disabilities, and all that stuff. Yeah, we are also not satisfied with the Democratic Party, and if I was a celebrity, I would also just equally say I am voting for Kamala, but I am not endorsing what she does because they have to do a lot better. for everyone. That was depressing enough. I'm not gonna cover the fucking awful, shitty, unfunny Moodang SNL skit because that was already depressing enough. Oh, that's rough. That's rough. Okay, well, that's 2 hours down. So, let us. We're gonna take a quick. I'm gonna take a bit of a break. I'm not gonna end the stream. I'm gonna run. I gotta run out real quick. I'm gonna get all of that. The reading that Rolling Stone article made me very sad. So I gonna go get some smokes. You know, Cali smokes, not tobacco smokes, but yeah. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, my three lurkers. I don't mean to depress you or anything. That did not. That was not the reaction, the unconscious subtle reaction I was expecting to have reading that article. But I'll take that as a sign of growth for my own personal well-being and all that stuff. So take a break. I'm gonna run out and I'll be back. I'll put something. Let me see if there's anybody fun on. You can watch while I'm in intermission. Do this. Yeah, we'll just do this. We'll put Brave. That first thing, because it might take me a little while to get in and out. I'll get back to the store because I'm going to a head shop. And I will be back in a little bit. But let me give you something to watch or enjoy while I am away. All right, enjoy some fun stuff with some brother Hassan.
Get him new clothes. I'll get him a fuckboy clothing setup, drip or drown. Then we might head to the influencer gym with Bradley Martin. Get in now. Okay. Did you learn Mandarin yet? No, I've been trying my best, but it sucks. Okay. It's hard, man. It's hard. All right, I'm gonna blast off real quick. Thoughts about what? I don't know what you're asking me. Is that a Blau clip? I don't know. Okay, here. We blasted off already. I'm doing everything fast right now. We're only 11 minutes in and we've already gone through the intro, gone through my personal news, gone through the fucking blast off, and we're riding into dawn. Okay. Nick natted it. He's upstairs. Nick is upstairs showering right now. But yeah, they came in last night and actually Wake was with them as well. And I would have loved to offer Wake a room. I didn't even know. Nick had not told Wake that I only had one room, and Wake was like, "Oh, I guess I have to get a hotel then." And I was like, "Well, normally I'd have two rooms. Matter of fact, both for Nick and Arthur. Normally had separate rooms, but they could have bunked together, and you could have also been here, Wake, except for the fact that Austin did not want to pay for an expensive hotel and decided last second that he wanted to stay here. So Austin is here as well. Take Wake IRL. Oh yeah, I should. That would be fun. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, motherfucker treats this like a free hotel, bro. I swear to God, Austin does. Anyway, we talked a lot about that on the episode, on the pod. Also, let me just send this shit to March real quick before I forget, because I have these videos that I shot yesterday that we're gonna be adding on to the you gotta get a bigger house, dog. Yeah, I know. We did the Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Si Do shit, the TikTok challenge yesterday, and I failed it spectacularly. I failed it in a spectacular capacity. I'm not afraid to admit it. You got a ball with Wake? Does he ball? I mean, he's tall enough. He looks like he could ball. You did the level skip? Yeah, I did. Shattered all the glass in my house, shaking my head. No. We tried to do that. Damn, look at the fucking beautiful camera. We're gonna try and use the Nick pack. He does. He's been asking. I unbanned some reformed NMP chatters during the collab today. If they get banned again, I said you're gonna whip me with an extension cord, so I think they'll be good. True. Wake says he wants to ball with you. I would have loved to. What sunglasses are those? I think those are like super old school 90s Karl Lagerfeld sunglasses that one of you guys sent me in the fucking P.O. box, as a matter of fact. I still wear them all the time. They make me look like such a hog. They're like ancient Karl Lagerfeld 90s shades that someone sent me a long ass time ago. Make sure you charge the battery that just died. I know. I've been trying to get him to do that. I've been trying to get him to charge the battery. He like ran upstairs and I was like, bro, you got to charge the battery. Yeah, this is what we were actually looking at. That's real. That's real, chat. That's not a joke. Clitter Freak Bob putting the Joe Brandon titty memes out there. Anyway, this is how the day started. Give me a kiss. She's like, not in front of the cameras, Dad.
A lot of people are watching.
That's messed up. Other hand. You high five me, but you won't give me a kiss? Wow.
Damn, that's crazy.
Right here.
Maybe she doesn't like Hezbollah.
Okay, you're a bad girl. Give me a kiss. Hold on. Gym today. Can I come stream for your gym today? And also, can I bring my dog? Wake is coming to stay in LA for a bit. Bitch, I know. He was in my house last night, but he couldn't stay with me because someone. Wait, bro, you are not wearing the same shit. Did you shower yet? Oh yeah, yeah. Hairspray? No, I don't think so. You use hairspray? I don't think I have hairspray. No, I don't use anything in my hair. Yeah, just she's mad you're embarrassing her in front of your friends. Yeah, I know. I did. Play hockey with Nick. Nick would destroy me. He'd cross me up. I can't even stand on the fucking ice, dude. I can't even be on skates. Like, I feel like I am too big. I'm like, once you're above a certain height, I don't think God made me to fucking slide. You know what I'm saying? Because if I fall, there's far too much. There's far too much at stake if I fall. You know what I mean? Because when I'm falling from a much larger, much larger distance. Solo Peach Raid. Dog, they need trucks like you. What? Nick needs to teach you. Yeah, Fun Day is canceled. Breaking strong in consecutive explosions heard in occupied Jerusalem. Yeah, no, it's not canceled. Okay? I'll be honest with you. It's not fucking canceled. You know? Politic updates or not. Yeah, Hassan Nasrallah, Hezbollah confirmed that Hassan Nasrallah had been martyred by the Zionist entity in the attacks on Dahia yesterday. Look at Matt Rempe highlights. You can be a big boy. Okay, stop. I know a lot of hockey players are tall. I'm not coordinated enough. Okay, give me a fucking break. What is this? Because I'm born a lefty. If I was an impressionable teenager, maybe I would have been like a Hitler Youth or something. But as soon as I started having my own political thoughts, I would have been a commie instantly.
I love that. Do you think that you being a lefty is like your canon event? Like you're always a lefty?
I think so. There are a lot of things that make me who I am. Like my parents teaching me to treat everyone with dignity and that all work should be respected, regardless of what it is. My father also taught me that rich people are the bad guys and that. That's so funny because no, it's the opposite. My dad is like kind of a neo-lib, dude. What the fuck? Big Dog has a fucking PhD in economics. You know, he is literally a fucking, he is as like neoliberal, he's as pro-capitalist as you can get. He loves capitalism. He wrote books on capitalism, you know? Also on antitrust, but still. So the AI doesn't have that. AI doesn't have that knowledge, it seems. No rich person deserves their wealth. I think those ideas stuck with me more than any right-wing propaganda. No rich person deserves their wealth. And ever could have. That's how you know.
Which right-wing propaganda?
That's how you know this AI is like written by still someone who's like a liberal. You know what I mean? It's like a cartoonish depiction of what socialism is supposed to be.
Like post-World War I, do you think had the biggest effect on suppressing communist beliefs?
Okay, now I need to try this fucking AI. What do you think of the site? Using your likeness without your consent? I don't give a shit. Oh, also, speaking of not giving a shit at this point, I mean, dude, look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
This might be the craziest bribe in U.S. history, but according to reports, New York City Mayor Eric Adams accepted a $50,000 bribe of Zyn from a Twitch streamer. This is from the actual government indictment, so I'm going to read some of it to you. Quote, specifically, Adams, in a private meeting in Manhattan, met with the aforementioned Twitch streamer at a luxury hotel in Midtown. During this meetings...
This is why you cannot like anything you see on fucking TikTok, bro. This is like the journalism that this is the level of journalism on TikTok, you know? God damn, bro.
Adams knowingly and willingly accepted a large bribe in the form of a...
Bro said, according to reports, the reports are feared buck.
Pallet of Zyn nicotine pouches and in-kind gift worth an estimated value exceeding $50,000, delivered in exchange for Adams' commitment to grant preferential treatment in future city licensing regulations affecting the gaming industry. Okay,
God
so
damn.
How did he get the Zyn? Well, according to the document, it says the bribe took the form of an unusually large shipment of Zyn nicotine pouches delivered to a private location in New York City. So this leaves a question. Mayor Adams, what the hell are you going to do with that much Zyn? What makes this story even crazier is New York City has laws that restricts the sale of Zyn, meaning Mayor Adams is not a normal guy like you and I who loves Zyn. Dude is just restricting it. So this sounds to me like he couldn't get his hands on it, so he
I'm just glad he didn't fucking name me in the indictment. Like I'm realizing that if Alexander Lol Overruled, which is his full name, actually had put my name in that indictment beyond the meme, there would be an unimaginable amount of actual fucking idiots who would have literally, like, they didn't put two and two together. They just thought, oh, Twitch streamer, that's unique, that's interesting. I'm 100% certain if he had mentioned me by name beyond just like memeing about whether it was me or not, I think this would be actual mainstream news. You know what I mean? I'm surprised he didn't mention the streamer was Turkish, all things considered. Anyway, not sure why selling drugs is funny. People die from Zin, dude. Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how easily misinformation spreads online. It's just no interest in the truth whatsoever. Also, here's a negative consequence of like that sort of misinformation spreading online. This guy said, my brother saw the story post of my neighbor's house catching fire from the power lines due to the storm. And he said, and he sent me, lucky there's a Trump supporter firefighters, or Kamala would have had to let some illegals over to put that out. Right-wingers at this point are so invested in the permaculture war that they literally look at like devastation occurring all around them, accelerated greatly as a consequence of man-made climate change. And they turn around and they're like, well, brother, how will I make this about culture war shit? How will I make this shit about politics? Them woke ass hurricanes, brother. It's just like, we're so done. I don't understand what the fucking, like, I genuinely don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with so many goddamn people. I think, and I never thought I would say this, I hope
top story
for a future where people are less interested. Yeah. I think we would be better off if people were less interested in politics and news in general. There, I said it. Because it turns out when people are interested in politics, they can still be, and are, as a matter of fact, in many instances, very fucking stupid. Okay? Very, very, very stupid. Like, think about some of the dudes that you encounter, like I was talking about at the courts, right? Like, I encounter a lot of normies on the courts. Okay? By the way, speaking of being stupid, look, this guy. If someone comes to kill you, you kill them first. Israel is simply settling the score. We live in a modern world, not one fit for terrorists. As long as the genocide of Israelis is their goal, Israel will continue to defend itself. But you can keep being a tanky for a pipe dream that'll never come true, Jenks, little bro. By the way, a year later, and the enemy, you, doesn't understand the truth when it is in your faces. Yeah, dude. I like that Israel is like a genuine terrorist entity at this point. And this motherfucker literally looks at like a military advance that caused like 6 buildings to fucking collapse with insane firepower, killing a shit ton of civilians in the process, children, women, elderly, in the middle of a crowded fucking neighborhood. And he's like, you know who's a terrorist? The people that Israel killed. That's right. Not Israel. Do normies ever test you on politics on the courts? Sometimes. What that dude say about Kamala? He was apparently one of the dudes we were playing was like running for president or something. I don't fucking know. I don't want to even talk about that shit. Yeah. Here, look. This is what I mean. Look, they are using HAARP to ensure that Hurricane Helene devastates the largest Republican stronghold area in Florida. This hurricane will destroy homes, displace thousands, and ensure much less participation in the presidential election in November. They will stop at nothing. Something is off about the reporting of this hurricane. 45,000 likes. I mean, the fact that it just popped out on the radar out of nowhere. Bro, what is going on in the minds of these fucking baboons, dude? It's like your desperate inability to refuse to recognize the truth is causing you to make up insane shit. Like, that's what it is, okay? That's what this is. Motherfuckers out here are just like, I will refuse to understand what's going on. I refuse to recognize what is happening. I refuse. And that is why I will make up my own damn mind and instead hallucinate an alternative reality. Because the truth requires just a little bit of reading or a little bit of confidence in like people who have done the reading before you. You know? Your hair isn't even close to curly today. It's really wavy. It's because I parted it instead of doing my regular thing, which is just let it ride like this, I think. Typical libs, brother. Doing hurricanes. My power's still out and I'm a socialist. Friendly fire. What? No, dude. It's not friendly fire. I'm saying it's ridiculous to assume. Oh, you're joking. Like, oh, sorry. I apologize for opening the socialist weather machine upon the devastating, opening the socialist weather machine on top of Florida where some socialists live as well. I mean, it is kind of crazy what is happening right now. My hometown is so far above the water, but this whole region is experiencing a catastrophe. Dam failure has led to massive river surges. Parts of interstate have collapsed. Yeah, Eastern Tennessee's got water surges inside of people's homes. Like, shit is out of control. Okay, there was a fucking entire hospital that was just like completely flooded. And people are like too busy being like, let me take some content. Let me make some content out of this fucking thing. Hello, TikTok. Hurricane is here. And yes, I refuse to evacuate, even though I'm in the evacuation zone. Why? Because I'm not some pussy ass libtard. That's why. No hurricane can hurt me, brother. And then beyond that, motherfuckers are out here being like, they're out here also thinking, you know why this happened? Libtards. That's why. It's like, no, dude, you want to know why it happened? Because, well, two reasons. One, we caused it because of our carbon emissions. We caused it because we are destroying the planet, okay? We keep sucking the beautiful frack juice directly out of the ground, okay? And then, you know, everything that we operate is just burning and destroying the planet. But then also on top of that, our responsible state legislators, our responsible statesmen, our responsible governors, one, refuse to acknowledge that is even happening, and two, refuse to put money into hardening our infrastructure in a way to, at the very least, try and avoid complete catastrophe. Okay? That's where we're at this point. And motherfuckers are they're still like, nah, I refuse to believe that this is a real problem. I don't care. It must be because the storm is woke. This Kick streamer tried to stream it. Oh my God. I mean, to be fair, Kick is the most Florida coded platform anyway, so this was expected.
It's flooding! Help! 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 No!
Wait, did this guy just like literally broadcast his demise? Like, I don't understand. Like, did he die? Is he alive? I love this guy going, just go home, bro. Keg W spamming in the chat.
It was a nice run, GG, Shaq. It's my last stream on Kick, last stream.
Is this stream real? Hurricane is a stream sniper.
Going out with a bang. Fuck! Fuck, the water hit me.
Bro, you can't even the worst part about this kind of shit is that you can't even urge motherfuckers to like and subscribe because you're dead. Why would they subscribe to a dead guy? You know what I mean? Like, you can't even get them to subscribe to you. You can't even farm fucking revenue off of this because you're dead. There ain't no second stream after that. So why the fuck would people subscribe to you? You're dying. Donald Trump would have nuked Helen? Yeah, dead people famously do not provide any content. So you're cooked. Anyway, Helene? Yeah, this was a funny little moment from all of the people being like, this stuff is so exhausting. No, Netanyahu doesn't share the aims of the U.S. policy in Lebanon or Gaza. He wants to bomb the shit out of both places, ignore all U.S. concerns about civilian casualties or regional escalation, and then demand more weapons and money. Wow, whoever keeps giving this guy weapons sounds like he's either a complete fucking idiot or just approves of all the mass murder of civilians. Do you have any leads on who they may be? Let me know if you need help. I have Bing on my phone. This Netanyahu guy, oh brother, he keeps breaking rules and experiencing zero consequences, and then he has the nerve to ask for things that are regularly and unconditionally given to him. Is he delusional? Did your team win that basketball? We lost every fucking game, dude. I lost everything. I lost every single thing. And it's funny because like that one guy that I played against, I play against him all the time. And we have a decent track record. Like he wins sometimes, but last couple of games I've been beating his ass. So he cooked me on camera. And then also we ended up playing with some other people on the 5-on-5 full court. And I hadn't done 5-on-5 in a minute. So I didn't position myself well enough on the court. My off the ball movement was ass. I missed virtually every shot. I had not played on that court. It was so bad. It was so bad. Nick was dragging it. No, I mean, that's fine. It's like me and him. Me and the other guy we could have clamped on these fools, you know. But Donald Trump to the Hurricane Helene victims. You'll be okay. That's great, man. Good take, Donald.
Alabama and all of the other states who have been really hit hard by that very large hurricane. That was that big one, a very large hurricane this week. We're with you all the way, and if we were there, we'd be helping you, and you'll be okay. Alabama. Yeah, we'll be helping you.
Urgent, have you seen
Meet
this yet?
Baby Pesto. He's
Bro, I don't care about Baby Pesto. Stop trying to make Baby Pesto happen here, okay? He's already popping. He's already popping everywhere else. Trump is an empath. I showed Nick that you're going to stream with Bradley Martin, and he went, oh, sob. How'd that fool Nick didn't know where doggy titties were? Bro, I think you forget that a lot of people are just, like, oblivious, okay? Bro, I think people's lack of knowledge is a bottomless well. Do you understand? People's lack of knowledge is a bottomless well. You got motherfuckers like this, okay, all the way to, and it goes up in terms of like Nick. Nick is incredibly intelligent in comparison to people like this, obviously, you know? So how do you stare in the face of, how do you stare at like utter stupidity every day on a daily fucking basis and still get shocked when someone is like not aware of, you know, basic facts that you have, I guess, taken for granted and live with inside of your mind every day. Nick, on the other hand, is brilliant in comparison to